The iPhone 6 occupies a certain place in the annals of smartphone history. With a storied release and an eventful period of longevity, the iPhone 6, being the most popular smartphone ever sold, should occupy a lot of people's minds for its strengths and its faults. In this video, we'll see how Apple's most popular flagship stacks up in 2020 and see if history's best-selling smartphone can still hold up against modern flagships. Originally released in 2015, the iPhone 6 was a dogmatic departure for Apple. Prior to 2015, Apple had the belief that people simply would not use big phones. The increased screen size of the iPhone 6 at 4.7 inches over the previously released iPhone 5S meant that Apple, in many ways, was going against its own grain in increasing the screen size. I'm sure looking back here, now, in the present, with every major tech giant having at least one 6.7-inch phone, Apple probably wishes that it had jumped on the large phone bandwagon a little earlier, but of course, hindsight is always 20/20. Design-wise, the iPhone 6 has aged quite well. Johnny Ive's clean, minimal lines and the glass front really come together in a classy and presentable package. Apple's trademark attention to detail is here on every inch of this phone, and it's no wonder that this design continued on until the iPhone X. I love the design of the iPhone 6 back in 2015, and I still think that it looks great today. The aluminum back plus the curved glass front has a really nice industrial finish to it. And while the Touch ID has gone the way of the dodo with the newer iPhones, having a physical button as well as a headphone jack is really a nice change of pace with iOS. It's also worth noting how thin this phone is. It's actually Apple's thinnest iPhone, as the latest iterations of the iPhone X are actually much thicker than this iPhone 6. This thinness actually came up with a lot of fanfare back when it was released in 2015, as we all remember the videos of Bendgate that made certain YouTube channels extremely popular. Surprisingly though, even though I've used the iPhone 6 for several years and I've sat on it and had it in my pocket, I haven't had any issues with bending. Bendgate was mostly associated with the iPhone 6 Plus, which was the larger version. The iPhone that you see in this video is the iPhone 6, which is much smaller and much easier to fit in your pocket. So, if you're looking for an iPhone with iOS that you can easily fit in your hand and in your pocket, then the iPhone 6 might be very appealing to you. Price will be the major draw for anyone looking to buy an iPhone 6, as it will likely be one of the cheapest ways to get access to both iOS and the Apple ecosystem. Save for a few shortcomings with not having iOS 13, the iPhone 6 is pretty much a full-on iOS iPhone. So if you're not looking to pay over $1,000 for one of Apple's latest flagships, but you are a fan of their software, then the iPhone 6 is a very nice backdoor into some very compelling features. Depending on which memory size you get, the iPhone 6 can be found at more than budget-friendly prices. So at this price point, you can use it either as a secondary phone or a really great entry-level budget phone. Software will probably be the major drawback for those looking to buy an iPhone 6, and I'm here to tell you that it's not much of a drawback at all. The last version of iOS that's available for the iPhone 6, to which Apple was supporting, is iOS version 12.4.5. This is still a very updated and modern version of the iOS, and all the major features that you're looking for that are available on some of the more newer iPhones are available on this version of iOS. iOS 13, which is the latest version of iOS at the time of this video, has some new features like night mode, a better photo app, and other things that, while are great, are minuscule compared to the overall package that iOS 12.4.5 offers. So in my opinion, while it does suck that Apple has stopped support for the iPhone 6 with version iOS 12.4.5, it's not much of a deal breaker with the price that you can get for the iPhone 6 in today's market. So what's the verdict? Is the iPhone 6 worth it in 2020? My answer is yes, as you get a lot of things for what you're paying. First of all, you get a headphone jack. You get a physical touch button with a touch sensor and touch ID, and you get Apple's ecosystem, all for a very budget-friendly price. The extreme thinness of the phone allows it to maintain a modern feel, even in today's flagship marketplace. And even though Apple isn't updating the iOS version on the iPhone 6, iOS 12.4.5 will still be very useful for many years to come. So if you're looking for an extremely practical and extremely useful, budget-friendly main phone, or even a backup phone for your newest version of iPhone, then the iPhone 6 is definitely a great choice. It has a great screen, great software to hardware integration, and a great design. All of these for probably under $200, depending on what market you're looking at. What do you think? Do you think the iPhone 6 is still usable in 2020? Leave a message below. Don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for watching.